you can go out and you can flip houses, you can start a different business, you could do these things. But the real powerful thing about investing in apartment buildings and making deals and being in this business is you're building a legacy behind you. When you buy an apartment building, we're talking about creating generational wealth. My goal for you is to teach you this week how to get financially free. Flipping houses is not a way to get financially free, let me tell you. Flipping houses, I just bring up as one example, is a job. It's a transactional job. You're going to go do it, and then you're going to do it, and then you're going to do it again, and as long as you keep doing it, you'll keep having income. And it's a high-paying job in most cases, except when you fuck them up. Or you open the walls up and find something you didn't expect to see, or things like that. Probably later I'll tell you some of my stories. I've been a general contractor for 17 years, and I've had deals that did not turn out the way I wanted them to. I know how to run projects, get them done on time, on schedule, on budget. And sometimes you find things in old houses that you didn't expect. It's a risky, risky business. And you better get paid a high return if you're going to be out doing that risky business, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, I'm going to show you how to buy one asset, and that will pay you over and over and over and over again for as long as you would like it to, so that you can have something to leave behind for your children. And if you teach them correctly, they'll leave it behind for their children and their children. You have the opportunity, just the fact that you're here today, you will have the opportunity to change the entire trajectory of your family's generations to come. Does anybody think we might be in a bubble? In a couple different areas, probably, right? So the fact that you believe that is probably why you are here today. Housing is again at all-time high, housing market in general. Prices are back up to levels that they were in 2006 and 2007, and in a lot of cases they're even higher and beyond that number. Again, we have banks who now have stated income loans again, and I've just heard recently about they're starting to do those cool loans that they call ninja loans. Anybody heard of those ninja loans before? No income, no job, no assets. And they're giving loans out for people, right? So that's an interesting concept. So we have these prices really high. We've got lenders giving loans out to anybody that can fog a mirror, and that should give us some real concern about what the housing market is. And on top of that, we have the stock market. Anybody follow the stock market? I didn't check what it was this morning, but I think on Monday morning, the Dow was up over 24,000, which is higher than, historically it wasn't even never over 22,000 or 20,000 or something like that, just last year, never. It's just like 20% higher than it's ever been in the history of Wall Street. So cresting what happens when everything's at the top, right? Is just keep going, keep going up. In the economy, we have market cycles. Things go up, things get corrected. Things go up, they get corrected. Today's conversation is we have housing at an all-time high. We have the stock market at an all-time high. And we have these crazy investments out there that don't have any intrinsic value going on. And people are doing all these crazy things. And smart investors are recognizing this. In fact, I get calls on a consistent basis, a lot of times some from overseas companies, investment groups. I get calls from people all around the country. Matt, I need to buy an apartment building because these guys know that when the shit hits the fan, the thing that survives are apartments. I got into this business after the last recession. I was a condominium developer, and I lived to tell about it because I was building houses, shopping centers, and condos and selling them. Man, I was crushing it too during the roaring 2000s, as I call it. But when the financing stopped for anybody to buy any of these products that I was selling, all of a sudden I've got a product, I can't sell it because no bank will finance anything. It was like somebody turned off the spigot, right? Turned off the supply. When the economy changed in 2007, late 2007 for me, and then going on for the next couple of years, I looked around and I saw that people that owned apartment buildings, they weren't just, making it. These guys are thriving. In fact, one of the first guys I met doing apartments, like, went out and bought himself a new Aston Martin, and I'm like, that's cool, man. How you doing this? Like, everybody else is losing everything. What are you into, man? He's like, oh, I just own some apartment buildings. I'm like, what? How's that working out? He's like, oh, it's awesome. Like, everybody who's losing their house is trying to rent an apartment building right now. I'm like, what? That makes sense. The more demand for rental housing, the more you can charge for your units, and then the value of your property goes up. We should also talk about why apartments are a hedge against inflation. And inflation is just when the price of things go up. But we have a unique thing going on in our economy on top of all the things we just discussed. Cryptocurrency, housing prices, stock market running crazy, running wild. We have a situation where for the last 9 years, our Federal Reserve has been printing cash. The reason for that is, the sole reason for that is to deflate the value of your dollar. So if you have dollars sitting under your mattress or in a savings account or a money market account or in a low interest bearing CD or bond, you're going to get eaten alive by inflation. They're causing it. It's intentional. Our president right now wants to devalue the dollar so that our goods and services that we manufacture here will be more attractive to overseas buyers. Now, these aren't right or wrong economic philosophies. This is just what is. And so we, as entrepreneurs, have the choice to decide how we want to play the game, right? You're not going to go convince Trump how to change his currency policy or his economic policy or any other president, because the last president initiated the quantitative easing, right? This is what's going on. So we just need to decide how to play. The Federal Reserve has gone through 3 quantitative easing series, which quantitative easing means they print cash and they go buy stock in Wall Street. They're pumping Wall Street up full of cash. That's why Wall Street's so high. But guess what happens when they stop printing the cash, right? Things have to correct themselves because this is not a party that's going to go on forever. In fact, the Federal Reserve had assets of about $800 billion with a B when this started about 8 years ago. Now they have 4.5 or 4.4, depending on how you factor it, trillion dollars in assets from cash they just printed. So when the government's printing cash and intentionally devaluing our dollar, we should get into assets that go up in value during inflation, shouldn't we? And apartments are one of the few asset classes that are a hedge against inflation, because when prices of everything go up, whether it's gasoline or milk or gold or whatever, prices going up, rents do too. So we have a safe, secure, stable asset class, hard to lose money in apartments. Like, you have to work at it. In fact, I intentionally buy buildings that I want the tenants to move out of so I can renovate. And my hardest job is getting them to move out. So what does that mean to this asset class when I have tenants that just want to be there and I don't want to move? I can't get rid of my rent payers if I want to sometimes. So that just goes to show how stable that this stream of cash flow can be. Safe, secure, stable asset class, hard to lose money in. That's why large institutions love to buy apartment buildings. Big, large institutions that do pension funds love apartments, can't lose their money, hedge against inflation, right? Life insurance companies who have big stockpiles of cash that needs to be ready for an insurance payout if one happens, or a pension fund when people retire, they need to have the cash available. They can't go gamble it out and flip this stuff and do high risk stuff. So they use safe, secure investments that are relatively liquid, and they love apartment buildings. It's one of their asset classes of choice to preserve and protect all that cash that these companies sit on, financial institutions. So it's safe, secure, stable, cash flow, tax benefits, and growth. And it's a hedge against a recession as well, because when the housing market tends to correct, our rents go up because of that as well. So this is why I begin to call this the ultimate investment strategy. And some of you guys probably read my book, The Ultimate Investment Strategy, and it talks about all of these things that are going on and why we should be making an investment in that. So we have an idea that this asset class has all these benefits. So I'm going to teach you how to get involved with these asset classes, whether you have a pile of money to invest or not. I'm going to show you, if you have more time than money, how to go out and make deals and get paid. And if you have more money than time, how you can invest in apartment buildings without having to do anything. Does that sound cool? It's truly one of the only passive income strategies that you can get involved with. And we're going to teach you, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do a lot of that. Now I'm going to imagine for a second that you guys probably knew a lot of this stuff already, or have been hearing some things like this already. It's probably what brought you here, or made a decision to learn about this awesome ultimate investment strategy that we call apartment investing. I'm going to imagine that's probably true. I'm going to imagine that some of you guys are probably here too because you're worried about if you're younger, probably worried if Social Security is going to be there for you when you decide to retire. And I'm going to tell you it probably won't. Not in the way that we think that it exists now. Some of you guys have 401ks and IRAs and some kind of retirement programs that are sitting there, and you're concerned about if that's going to be enough at some point in the future for yourself. And I know that apartments can be an answer to all of those things. A tax-benefited retirement program that will almost certainly outlive yourself. That you can not only thrive on no matter what happens in the economy, but that you can pass on generation to generation.